Yo, what's good, y'all? Happy late 4th of July. But I guess if you're watching this, it's way past the 4th of July. So, happy day. Um, but um, During the 4th of July, I was walking. We were going to this event. It was in town center. There was this big dude performing like a super well-known song, and it seemed like everybody was there. And there were fireworks, there was food, people, everybody, like probably like a good 2,000 people laid out on the lawn and in between, and it seemed to be such an exuberant experience. But everybody was just recording the fireworks on their phones, and it felt like there wasn't an actual presence there. It was more like the idea of a presence. But when I was walking there, i I saw this family, and we were in a very rich neighborhood, but this house was kind of the outlier on the block. The house was one story, substantially smaller than the other houses, and there was a family outside the house firing their own fireworks. And it was a family of like 10. It seemed like, grandma, uncle, and they were all together on July 4th. And there were cars parked all down the block in front of their house. And you have all these people just walking toward this huge event. But this family, they were firing their own fireworks and they were doing their own thing. They weren't going to this event. And can we not? Hold on. And it was like what I found it so interesting because in the experience, if you look at that situation externally, you would probably think, oh no, you definitely have a better time at the town center where this famous guy's performing, and the fireworks are much more grand and they're much better. They probably bought their fireworks from Walmart. The city bought the fireworks. This was a better time. The event at the town center was a better time, as it seems. But I saw the look in the family's eyes, dude, and they looked so happy. Like they had a little like toddler running around, amazed at the fireworks. You have the grandma sitting in her chair, looking back, just wrinkles around her eyes, just smiling. And it looked to be genuine joy. And I think that externally, it may seem like one event was better than the other, but internally, I guarantee you that family probably had a more authentic 4th of July experience than most of the people that were at the town center. Because the people at the town center, it was like it was like it was so weird, man. I mean, it was cool people, but I'm not trying to like diss anybody, but it didn't really seem genuine. It felt like people were there because of the idea of what it was, like the idea of, oh, big bright fireworks, I'm gonna record this and put this, on my store. Oh, look, there's so many people here. There's this guy performing. This is better than what you're at. Like you could tell that some people were just recording just so that they could flex on other people, like, oh, where were you for the July? This is where I was. And that external experience may be objectively able to be viewed as better, but internally, like the internal experience, it those are two very separate things. Like you have somebody's external experience and then you have an internal experience. And that, I don't think they can really be compared, because okay, you might have been outside and at this, really cool event and or whatnot, but were you happy? Were you satisfied? Were you sitting there on your phone recording, thinking about showing the footage to other people so that you can seem happier than you are? And I'm not saying that it was everyone. I think I first said, most of the event was unhappy. I don't want to make it seem like it was like a huge downer and everybody was on their phones and come off like a boomer. But like I think that it was astounding the amount of people that didn't really seem like they wanted to be there. And oh man, it was very interesting just to observe that and to really actually witness the difference between perspectives. Because man, this family, they were lighting their fireworks, and they might not have been as grand and as cool and sparkly words, mouth noises as the other one, but they just looked so happy, like that Fourth of July was special because they were with family. And there were people with family at the other town center event too. I'm not saying there weren't, but it was more the family, the family that that Fourth of July was more intimate, bro. Like they really you could tell that they wanted to be with each other, and that's I could be completely wrong, that's just me looking from an external perspective looking onto an internal perspective. But I think that just this idea of externality versus internality, it's very intriguing in the sense that somebody can be having an external experience and it seems one way externally or even objectively, but then internally it is an entirely different experience from what from what it seemed, and just that concept that something can happen in physical space, but and then in mental space can be a completely different occurrence is just so interesting to me, and I don't know that's my like 3 cents for today. Yeah, 3 cents, not 2 cents. Don't play with me, boy.